Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the beginning of Thucydides. This is Thucydides book one. So I wrote down at the bottom of the notation. It's TH period 111. What this means is if you look in the LSJ to Liddell Scott Jones, you'll see abbreviations for all Greek authors. So, for instance, if you go find something from Plato, he's referred to as not, Plato written out, but PL period. Xenophon's referred to as just X. And then for somebody like Plato or Xenophon, you have multiple works in their in their corpora. So the way that you refer to those, the works also get abbreviations. So if you're referring to Plato's Republic, it's PL, and then R. If you're referring to Gorgias, for example, it's GRG. If you go look at the Anabasis of Xenophon, it's just AN. And then if you go look at his Hellenic Ka, it's capital HG. Okay, so much for that. But this is the beginning of Thucydides' history. Let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing we should point out here is Thucydides is going to refer to himself in the third person. You'll see that his name in ancient Greek is not Thucydides, but Thucydides. Okay, you are going to want to take this as of course it's nominative singular, but this is actually a first declension noun. I've given you down below the Smythe numbers. Smythe, if you don't already know, is the standard Greek grammar when you're learning Greek. Don't confuse this with a form like I've given you also Socrates in the Greek form down below, which is actually follows a third declension pattern. I suppose we shouldn't spend too much time on that, but you can go look up those sections if you so choose. So just another point here is that Thucydides does point out that he is from Athens here. Okay, moving on to the verb. Now this is third singular aorist active indicative. One thing that you'd want to notice here is that what Thucydides writes, his dialect of ancient Greek is Attic, but it has a few, quirky features to it. So instead of soon, he's going to have xun, and this also goes for verbal compounds. So typically you would just see sungrapho as this verb compose, right? But Thucydides is going to have a xi there. Okay, good. So Thucydides the Athenian, he composed, what did he compose? The war of the Peloponnesians and the Athenians. Okay, Peloponnesian War is fought between the Peloponnesians or the Spartans and the Athenians. So what we have coming up here in this next bit, so he wrote the war of the Peloponnesians and the Athenians. Now here we have this, he's going to more or less, restructure his sentence here. So we had at first the accusative ton polemon with its dependent genitives, but now we're going to have a host clause here. This is something that you could refer to as prolepsis, or the lilies of the field construction. But then we have hos, a polemeson. Now you're going to want to take this also as a aorist indicative. This time it's third person plural, referring to the Peloponnesians and the Athenians, and they fought against each other. Okay, so continuing on from there, oxamenos. Now this is also nominative and singular. This is going to refer back to Thucydides' And this verb, this participle, rather, here is also aorist. So Thucydides, he wrote the war, that is how they fought, and he started, euthus there means straight away or immediately. Oh, another thing I did want to mention, actually, is that this is one of several participles that's going to refer back to Thucydides, but we'll come to those shortly. But back to Arxamenos, this whole bit right here, he started euthos kathistamenu. Now, this is a genitive absolute construction. The noun that you want to supply with this is polemos again. Well, you want to supply it in the genitive, right, to have the genitive absolute construction, more or less answering the question, when. He started immediately when the war got going. Okay, and what else? There's another histemi compound. So this is histemi with kata, and then later we're going to have histemi with xun in Thucydides, or typically you just have sun, okay? Elpisas, okay, so he started straight away when the war got started, and he was doing what here? This is another aorist participle. Typically you can have hope for, yes, the substantive elpis, and the verb elpisdo, to hope to do something. But Thucydides was not hoping, as the passage goes on, that the war would be a big one. That's not what this means. Elpisdo can also mean he expected, he anticipated, he thought that the war was going to be a big one. It got started, and he could tell that it was really something. So elpizo is going to be construed here with this future infinitive of the verb eimi, which just means to be. Then we're going to get, after that, megante. Now remember, te and kai, those are going to be, work together. Te is an enclitic, so this means that Thucydides was expecting that the war was going to be a great one, megon, and it was going to be axiologotaton. It was worthy of mention. I'll just show you this right here, axiologos, axiopistos, axiomachos. This is a way to form compounds for adjectives in ancient Greek, so you can say worthy of XYZ, so it is worthy of mention. Axiopistos is worthy of trust or trustworthy. Axiomachos is worthy of battle. So this is a opponent in war, sizing somebody up. You say, yes, he's, worthy of fighting with you. Now, axiologotaton is in form a superlative, but it almost works as a comparative here. With this genitive, you could take that as a genitive comparison, and this just comes from progignomai, to come about beforehand. So he, that is Thucydides, expected that this war was going to be great, and that it was going to be more worthy of mention than those that had come about already. Tekmai Romanos here is going to mean something like inferring or taking as evidence that he's basically explaining why he had this expectation. Because, okay, now akmazdontes here is going to refer to the Peloponnesians and the Athenians. And this means basically be in your prime, be in full bloom. Acme, we have that word in English. It's kind of like a zenith. You're at at your peak, right? Okay, so this is just a present active participle, referring to the Peloponnesians and the Athenians here. Now, one thing I just want to note here is the accentuation here. The reason why we have another acute accent on the last syllable there is because te is an enclitic, and it gives, in this case, it's going to give its accent up to the word to which it's attached. So the te there does get construed with the chi, and then we're going to have another participle, one that refers to Thucydides, not the Peloponnesians and the Athenians. So let's talk about this verb right here. So ason. So just note that this verb in the text has an iota subscript. Don't confuse this with its form that does not have an iota subscript. They're both going to be third plurals, and they're both imperfects, but one comes from eimi, the verb to go, and one comes from eimi, the verb to be. So I've just given you the Smythe numbers there. You can refer to the, you can go look up their conjugations at that point. So they were going. Where were they going? It doesn't mean they were, right? They were going, rather, to it. To the war, right? Both of them, as it goes on, photoroi, with all preparation. Then we get another participle referring to Thucydides. So he saw to allo Hellenikon. He saw the rest of the Greek people. This is an abstract way of referring to the Greek, the rest of the Greek world. He saw the rest of the Greek world doing what now? So we have the rest of the Greek world. What they're doing is joining a league with each side, this other histone compound with soon or xun. So everybody else is picking their team, as it were. They're picking their side. And as it continues from there, now you want to take this to min as a counterbalance of the to day there. So some of them did it immediately. Remember the euthus from above, we had our xamenos euthus, right? So some of them did it immediately, and others, they were intending what? Now you want to take the verb here, dia no e omai. This is construed with an infinitive, but it's just one that's implied. You don't have to actually write it because it's the verb that was just used on this histone compound with soon. So, good. The reason why these are neuter singulars is because it refers back to this to allo Hellenikon. Good. Okay. And so that is how Thucydides starts his history.